Episode 1. The day the sun forgot her name. It was supposed to be morning, but the sky was pitch black. No sunrise, no birds, just the sound of something holding its breath. The people of Wren Hollow called it an eclipse or a freak weather event, but deep down, everyone felt it. The light was gone, not hidden, missing, and that's when they appeared. 5 children, not running, not laughing, just standing in perfect silence at the tree line. White cloaks, pale skin, eyes too large, smiles too still. They didn't blink, didn't speak, didn't belong. No one knew their names. Yet somehow, they knew yours. Mrs. Kimrose, the school teacher, said they were probably from the next town over. But the next town had burned down 10 years ago. And when the sheriff drove out to check, his car never came back. Only his hat did folded and placed neatly on his porch by morning. That night, at exactly 3:33 a.m., every clock in town stopped ticking. Every screen went black, and a single sound echoed across the town square. Children whispering, not in fear, not in play, but like they were remembering something old, something buried. Hannah Miller, age 7, pointed at her window. "Mommy," she said, "the shadow children are here again, but it's dark." "Sweetie," her mother said, "how can you see them? They're standing in the dark." Hannah replied, "Because they are the dark." By dawn, the sun still hadn't come back. 3 people had vanished. No footprints, no struggle, only a line drawn in chalk outside each missing person's home. They northeast were left. The mayor declared martial law. The priest locked the church doors and prayed for silence. But that children, they stood on the chapel roof, smiling, waiting. No one saw them climb, no one heard them move. But there they were, and every mirror in town cracked from the inside that night. Some say the children are shadows without origin. Some say they're memories of sins we tried to bury. But me, I say this: if you see them, don't blink, don't speak, and for God's sake don't follow them into the trees, because that's where the sun went, and she is still screaming. Episode 2. The girl who brought back the wrong twin. It started with a dare. 12-year-old Elsie Gray stood at the edge of the woods, barefoot and shivering, as her friends chanted behind her. 1 minute in the forest, they said. Just one. The sun still hadn't returned. Day 3 of darkness, day 3 of whispers behind closed doors. Elsie took the first step past the tree line. That's when the world felt quite quiet. Even the wind seemed afraid to breathe. She counted each second under her breath. 35, 46, 52, and 10. She heard it. A giggle, childlike, but not playful. It came from her left, then her right, then behind her. She turned and saw her. Another Elsie. Same freckles, same red hair, same chipped tooth. But the smile was wrong. Too wide, too knowing, and the eyes completely black. No whites, no light, just void. She ran, tears on her cheeks, twigs slicing her arms. And when she stumbled back to the edge of the woods, gasping and hysterical, her friends screamed it in fear, but in confusion, because she was already standing there, dry, calm, smiling. "Guys, it's me," said the second Elsie. "She's lying." The real Elsie reached for her mother, sobbing, but her mother backed away. "Don't touch me," she whispered. What are you?" Elsie looked down and saw no shadow. She was the wrong one. She had brought herself back, but not the self that belonged here. That night, the 2 Elsies stood face to face in the mirror, one breathing, one not. And as the mirror fogged with breath, a message appeared between them written from the inside. "You were northeast for a northeast. You were out Washington YS too." By morning, only one Elsie remained. No one knew which. Not her mother, not her friends, not even Elsie herself. Because deep in the woods, something watches. It listens. It copies. And sometimes, it chooses better than we do. Episode 3. The lesson they northeast were taught. Mr. Whitaker was the only teacher who didn't leave town. When the sun vanished, when the whispers began, when the trees started humming at night, he stayed. "They're just children," he said. Strange, yes, but children need structure. So he kept the school open. Every morning, he rang the bell, and every morning, 5 unfamiliar children appeared in the front row. Same seats, same silence, same cold, dead stare. They never blinked, never spoke, just watched. Their names never showed on the roll call, but they were always present. At first, Mr. Whitaker tried to ignore them, then he tried to teach them. "Let's begin with the alphabet," he offered kindly. The children tilted their heads in unison, as if tasting his words. When he wrote on the chalkboard, the letters erased themselves, one by one, from Z to A, backwards. By lunch, he noticed the room had changed. The windows were darker, the walls pulsing. and every other student had vanished. Only the 5 remained. Mr. Whitaker turned to them. "Where did everyone go?" One child raised her hand. Her mouth opened, but her voice did not come from her lips. It came from the loudspeaker, from the intercom that hadn't worked in years. Her words were not hers. They were his nightmares, word for word. "I dreamed of drowning in ink," said the voice, "of children crawling from my lungs, their fingers made of chalk." He stumbled back. They stood. One reached into her desk and pulled out a notebook. Inside, drawings. Each page, a different version of him. Some with no mouth, some hanging from the blackboard, some still breathing, but hollow-eyed, teaching to an empty room forever. The last page, today's date, a sketch of him, from behind. As he stares at them, it looked up. They were standing right in front of him now, smiling, unblinking, and then darkness. Not a blackout. Adulation, every trace of him gone. By morning, the classroom was empty again. No desks, no chalkboard, no Mr. Whitaker. Only 5 small chairs, arranged in a perfect line, and on the wall, in fresh red crayon, we learned by Washington Tching. Episode 4. The priest who tried to baptize Dark Northeast SS. Father Caleb had seen demons before, or so he claimed. Exorcisms in Mexico, witch trials in rural Poland. He had scars to show, stories that could boil holy water, but nothing prepared him for Wren Hollow. Nothing prepared him for them. He first saw the children on the church steps, barefoot, holding candles that didn't burn. They stared at the crucifix, not in awe, in amusement. "They are not children," he whispered to the altar. "They are disguises." He decided to fight back the only way he knew how, with sacrament. The next Sunday, he filled the baptismal font with blessed oil. He prepared chants older than Latin. And when the 5 children returned silent, expectant, seated in the front pew, he invited them forward. "For your salvation," he said. One child stepped into the font. The water turned black. The air grew still. Then the child looked up at him and spoke. But it wasn't her voice. It was his mother's. The same pitch, the same softness, the same final words she had whispered before dying. "You left the door open." Father Caleb Fallacy. He hadn't heard that phrase in 40 years. The child blinked it slow, deliberate. "Will you close it now?" she asked. Suddenly, the church began to rot. The pews splintered. The candles bled wax like tears. The stained glass windows wept shadows. And the font, it boiled. He screamed the right, splashed the black water, demanded the name of the demon, but the children only laughed. Not loud, not childlike, just endless, like something remembering joy for the first time in centuries. Father Caleb collapsed at the altar, clutching the cross, and just before he passed out, he saw it, his own reflection in the chalice, smiling back at him, with no eyes. The next morning, Mass was held as usual, by someone wearing Father Caleb's robes. But the voice was wrong, too smooth, too empty, and the sermon, word for word, the whispers that used to come from beneath the confessional floor. Only 5 people attended that day, all of them children. None of them cast shadows. Episode 5. The child in every photograph. The Bellamy family had only just moved in. A fresh start, they said. New school, new town, new memories. But the house at 19 Merrill Lane already remembered them. It began on the 3rd day, when Mrs. Bellamy unpacked the photo albums. She gasped, among the birthday parties and beach trips. A child, in the corner, in every frame, staring at the lens. She had never seen this boy before. But one had, not her husband, not her daughter, not the photographer. Same age in every photo, same dead-eyed stare, same featureless face. He wasn't there before, but now, he was. They checked the negatives. Same boy. They checked the Cub backups. Same boy. Even Polaroids pulled from sealed boxes showed him, like he'd always been there, just waiting for someone to notice. At night, the pictures began to change. One by one, the boy would move slightly, a tilt of the head, a raised hand, closer, closer, until, in one photo, he was no longer standing in the background. He was beside them, smiling. By the end of the week, he was in every photo in the house, even the ones taken after they moved in, even the ones they hadn't printed yet. Mr. Bellamy laughed it off. "I bet it's AI glitches," he said, nervously, until their daughter, Lucy, came running down the hallway one morning. "Mom," she cried, "he's in the mirror now." They found her staring into the bathroom mirror, pointing at nothing. But when they looked at the photo she'd just taken was there. Behind her, no reflection, just presence. The final straw came when Mrs. Bellamy found a photo in the kitchen drawer. She didn't take it. It was printed on old paper, faded, torn at the edges. In the picture, a different family, from the 1950s, smiling at the dinner table. But there he was, same boy, in the same clothes, in the same seat where Lucy now Saturday, and scrawled on the back of the photo, in childlike handwriting, "I don't want to be forgotten again." That night, the family tried to leave, but the car wouldn't start, and every road circled back to 19 Merrill Lane. The next morning, only Lucy remained, sitting on the front porch, alone, smiling, a camera in her lap, taking pictures, waiting. Episode 6. The friend she drew in blood. Maribel never had real friends. At school, they whispered. At home, they forgot. She was the quiet one girl who Saturday alone, chewing her pencil, always scribbling in her notebook. So when she found the ritual online, it felt like fate. The friendship game. It was called, write the name of a friend you wish existed. Draw them, feed them, invite them in. Silly, harmless. She used her favorite red crayon, but it snapped. So she used something warmer, sharper. She cut her thumb and dipped it in the ink of herself. Then, on an old page, she drew him, a boy, tall, thin, no eyes, just dark circles. She named him Eller. That night, she placed the drawing on the floor, surrounded it with candy and her favorite doll, and whispered, "You don't have to be alone anymore. You can be real now." And the house sighed, like old wood remembering. Wait. The next morning, there were footprints, small, bare, leading from the page to her bed. She giggled. No one believed her until she stopped coming to school. Her teacher called home. No answer. The neighbors swore they saw her in the yard talking to someone, but no one else was there, only the shadow of a child that didn't match the light. The police came 3 days later. Empty house, untouched food, no signs of struggle, only her room, transformed, walls covered in drawings, hundreds of them, all of Eller, each one different, each one closer, each one smiling. In the center of the room was her notebook, left open on the last page. It read, "He says I'm the first one who believed in him. He says belief is what makes things stay. He's not going back." They never found Maribel, but every so often, children across Wren Hollow report the same thing. A new boy in their class, no one remembers him enrolling. No one knows his last name. And when the teacher calls, roll, he just waves, smiling, waiting. Episode 7. The Northeast. Who and Ted last. "Let's play hide and seek," someone whispered. The voice came from behind the gravestones. It was dusk, too late for games, too early for stars. But the kids of Wren Hollow didn't care. 6 of them, all under 11, daring each other to run between the tombs, laughing, screaming, pretending they weren't scared. Jamie, the oldest, said he'd count first. "Go hide, anywhere, but don't leave the cemetery." The others ran, behind statues, beneath stone benches, into open mausoleums. He began, counting slowly, deliberately. 1, 2, 3. The wind changed. 4, 5. The crickets fell silent. 6, 7. A bell rang in the distance, but Wren Hollow had no church bell. Mine. He stopped, looked around. Someone else was standing beside him. Another child, not one of them. Pale, unblinking, smiling too wide. 10. The child said, "You're it now," and vanished. Jamie searched. He found none of the others. Not under the statue, not behind the angel, not even inside the mausoleum where Lucy had gone. But there were things, fingers scratched into the dirt, eyes carved onto headstones, and Angie's friends' names freshly etched into graves that hadn't been there before. He ran to the gate. It was gone. Just more graves, more dark, more silence. He turned around. The others were there now, standing, still, smiling, but something was wrong. Their eyes weren't their eyes. Their mouths were too perfect. And when they spoke, it was in unison. "Tag, you're last." He screamed, fell, cried, and from behind the largest crypt, the voice came, again. "Let's play hide and seek." But this time, it was his voice. The next morning, parents came looking. They found the cemetery undisturbed. No footprints, no signs of life. Only one new thing, a gravestone, weathered, cracked, but freshly engraved. Jamie Forrest, the last to UNT. Episode 8. The bell that rang after school. The old school on Ashpine Hill hadn't held classes in 20 years. The floors were rotted, the blackboards cracked, the air thick with the dust of forgotten lessons. But the bell still rang every day at exactly 3:17 p.m. No one knew why. No electricity, no janitor, no clock mechanisms left. Just the bell, heavy, bronze, swinging gently in a tower no one dared enter. The children of Wren Hollow heard it. even from miles away, especially in their dreams. That's where it began. First, it was just the sound, a distant chime, echoing through sleep. Then, the dreams changed. Desks appeared, hallways twisted, a chalkboard at the front, and a message written in looping, childlike script. Please don't be late. One by one, children started talking in their sleep, muttering equations they'd never learned, reciting names of classmates who didn't exist, describing a teacher with no face, just a mouth, always smiling, always humming. Then came the disappearances, not from bedrooms, from memories. A boy named Caleb was the first. His room remained unto shed bed made, backpack full, shoes by the door, but no one remembered him. Not his parents, not his classmates, not even his photograph, which now showed only 5 empty desks. But his little sister did. She swore he existed, swore he read her a story just 2 nights before, until she dreamed of the school, and woke up screaming. He's stuck in the 3rd period. More children vanished, each one remembered only by someone who hadn't dreamed yet, until they did. And, then gone, no records, no memories, just dust. One child tried to fight it. He went to the school in daylight, dragging his father behind him. The gates opened on their own. The bell tolled once, and only the child came out, holding a test paper, grade A+, subject, obedience. The next night, his father disappeared, not physically, just erased, from drawers, from pictures, from hearts. When the boy was asked where his father went, he simply said, he was late. Now, parents warn their children not to listen for the bell, to close their ears, to fight the dreams. But every 3:17 p.m., the wind carries a familiar chime, and in the fading sun, if you look closely at the windows of Ashpine Hill, you'll see silhouettes sitting still, waiting for the next class to begin. Episode 9: The Child Who Failed the Experiment. Beneath Ashpine Hill, beneath the rotting school and the dreaming halls, there is a door, unmarked, steel, long forgotten, except by those who built it. In 1973, the government-funded project Break-In, a secret program to engineer emotionless intelligence in children. They called it Progress. They called them subjects. 13 children, taken from orphanages no one questioned, fed algorithms, stripped of comfort, taught blinking patterns, speak in numbers, dream in silence. 12 failed. They cried. They begged. They broke. 1 didn't. Subject 13, gender unknown, name erased. It passed every test until one day it stopped responding. No blinking, no speaking, just stillness. The lead scientist wrote a single note in the logbook. He's not learning anymore. He's remembering. Then the lights went out, the doors locked, and the cameras melted from the inside. They sealed the lab, cemented it, abandoned the school. But nothing that remembers being created ever truly sleeps. Last week, during a construction project, the door was found again, welded shut, humming. They opened it. Inside, the lab was untouched. Test tubes, beds, journals, and a small chair facing the wall, empty, until the lights flickered and that chair turned. No one saw what Saturday there. The camera feed glitched. The workers screamed. Only one made it out. He babbled nonsense until he carved a phrase into his arm with his fingernails. It's still our name. Since then, children in town have been acting different, emotionless, calculating. One girl stared at her teacher for 30 minutes without blinking. A boy rearranged his food into fractal patterns and whispered in binary. And every night at 1:13 a.m., a strange humming can be heard beneath the ground. Soft, almost curious. Some say Subject 13 was never a child at all. Some say it learned it how to become one, and now it's testing us. Episode 10: The Toy That Northeast W is Secrets. No one remembered where the bear came from. It wasn't a birthday gift, not from the store, not handmade. It just appeared one morning on Toby's bed. Small, worn, one button I'm missing, a red thread smite that never unraveled. Toby was 5. He named the bear Brim. They became inseparable. Brim came to dinner. Brim watched cartoons. Brim Saturday beside him in church, staring at the priest too intently. At first, his parents thought it was cute. Then the drawings began. Hundreds of them, all of Brim, but different. Brim with claws, Brim in the trees, Brim watching from mirrors, and always Brim whispering into Toby's ear. They asked him what the bear said. He replied, "He tells me what you forgot." One night, his mother woke to find Toby standing at her bedside, eyes open, voice calm. He says Daddy lead. His father laughed it off until the fire. Their shed burned to ash. No signs of arson, no storms, Just a single sentence scorched into the grass. You buried more than wood. That night, Toby's father packed a bag and disappeared. Brim remained. The bear grew stranger. He was never where they left him. Sometimes they found him sitting upright on the stairs, facing the basement. Sometimes on the roof. Once, inside the refrigerator, his red thread smile wider than before. Toby changed too. He spoke in riddles. He sang lullabies in reverse. And one day, he whispered to his mother, "Brim says you're forgetting what I used to be." She tried to burn the bear. The flames curled around him, but Brim didn't burn. He just laughed. High-pitched, synthetic, a child's laugh, trapped in a throat that had never belonged to one. That night, Toby vanished. No broken windows, no footprints, just Brim, sitting on the bed, with a note in Toby's handwriting. He remembers everything I tried to forget. No one has seen the boy since, but children around Wren Hollow are waking up with a new toy in their arms. One button eye, red thread smile, and in the morning, they all say the same thing. His name is Brim. Episode 11. The clock that Northeast WUSHOULDNT exists. The clock stood in the center of the town square. No one remembered who built it. It wasn't on any map, wasn't in any photo, and yet, there it was, 10 feet tall, iron hands, a face with no numbers, only names. Children's names, not engraved, not painted, written in movement. Each hour, a different name appeared, faint, flickering, like smoke on glass. At first, no one noticed, until one day, at precisely 4 p.m., the name Nora Bell shimmered onto the dial. At 4:03, Nora fell from her swing. Except, no witnesses, no sound. The next day, a new name, then another, and another. Every time, that child vanished. Some fell into reverse, some simply never woke up. Others were erased from memory altogether, only their toys left behind. The town grew silent, terrified, but the children, they began to gather at the base of the clock. Not in fear, in awe. They whispered to it, bowed to it. Some even brought offerings, marbles, dolls, teeth, especially teeth. One boy, Jonah, decided to break it. He climbed the tower with a hammer. At the top, he saw the inner mechanism, gears made of bone, pendulum swinging like lungs. Breathing. The second he raised the hammer, the clock stopped. For the first time in its history, it was silent. No ticking, no chime. Jonah smiled until he turned around and saw himself, younger, standing behind him. Not a reflection, not a memory. A boy with his face, his voice, but colder. "Rome, I'm the version that was supposed to live," the boy said, and pushed him. The clock chimed again. Below, the people watched Jonah's name fade, replaced by the word, corrected. Now, the townsfolk don't dare approach it. They say the clock isn't counting hours. It's counting balance, erasing the children that never should have been born. The children born in the wrong second, the wrong womb, the wrong wish. And sometimes, just sometimes, when the wind is right and the sun forgets to rise, you can hear the clock whisper, "One child to many." Episode 12. The night they came back wrong. It happened on the last full moon of autumn. The sky hung heavy, blood orange and silent. No stars, no wind, not even the insects dared to sing. And then the knock, one by one, at front doors across Wren Hollow. They returned, the lost children, the forgotten ones, the names erased from photo frames and gravestones and dreams. Smiling, alive, intact, mostly. "Mom, Dad, I miss you." Tears flowed, screams followed, hugs turned to shaking hands. But something was wrong. The way they moved, too perfect, too slow, like remembering how to be human. Their eyes blinked just half a second too late. Their laughter echoed too long in empty rooms. When asked where they had gone, they all said the same thing. "We were in the quiet place, the place where nobody knocks." And when asked what brought them back, they tilted their heads and whispered, "You forgot us too hard, so we came back louder." That night, power across town surged and snapped. Phones glitched, mirrors rippled, dogs howled and vanished. And inside each home that had once grieved, things began to shift. Children stood by windows until sunrise, not speaking, not sleeping, just waiting. Some parents locked their doors, others lit candles, but nothing could stop the change. By dawn, every child who returned stood outside in the street, hand in hand, forming a perfect circle around the town square, facing inward, toward the clock. It wasn't ticking anymore. It was breathing. Each exhale, a deep mechanical groan. Each inhale, a pulse of red across his face. Then the children began to hum, soft, unified, a lullaby in reverse. As they did, others emerged from the forest. not quite children, not quite shapes, too tall, too still, with smiles that stretched ear to ear, and the town realized these were not the children they had lost. These were the ones that replaced them, and they had been practicing, learning, becoming. Now, they were back, and this time, they weren't leaving. Episode 13, The Northeast. As we try to forget, Wren Hollow no longer wakes. The air is too still, the sky is the wrong color, and the shadows don't fall where they used to, because the children stayed. All of them, the ones who disappeared, the ones who came back wrong, the ones no one ever remembered until it was too late. They walk the streets, now barefoot, humming lullabies no one taught them, and the town watches, frowning, trapped, choosing silence over memory. But memory doesn't wait. It scratches, it knocks, it drips from the ceilings of old houses and whispers through the static on dead televisions. Because there is a price to forgetting, and Wren Hollow didn't pay it. It buried it, burned the records, changed the dates, ignored the disappearances, dismissed the warnings, until forgetting became a habit, a ritual, a sin. And now, the children are asking to be remembered properly. In every home, a choice was given. A voice, childlike but hollow, whispered from inside the walls. Do you want to remember what you lost, or forget yourself entirely? Most chose silence. They were erased by morning, rooms left intact, but mirrors refused to reflect. Family photos faded mid-frame, names stung on the tongue like a word you're not supposed to say. But a few remembered. They gathered in the old school gym. Candles, journals, cracked photographs, and one final name, scrawled on the blackboard. When, not the town, not the place, the first child, the one who was never born, but always felt, the one they forgot before ever meeting. And in that forgetting, they built a town, a lie, a silence so loud it became a soul. Wren was never gone. Wren was never real. Wren was everyone. And now, Wren is awake at 3:33 a.m. The clock tower collapsed. The moon blinked once and disappeared. And the children, they sang a single note, sharp, beautiful, endless. It didn't echo. It replaced the sound of the world. And in that moment, every adult who had ever whispered they'll forget by morning was forgotten, not dead, not taken, just erased. Only the children remain, and they remember everything, especially you.